One take, one shot SmackDown review. I do these right after SmackDown Raw or PLE, so you get my raw, visceral, my feelings, my gut feelings right now before I can be swayed by other talk. You get to hear what I think immediately following the show. We'll do it for Crown Jewel tomorrow and Raw as well. We have no edits whatsoever. Before we get into said review, you can win this belt at 20,000 subscribers. I'm going to give it away on my quest to quit my day job. All you got to do is comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, ding, 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 notification. You can win the belt right here, right there, over there. All right, so, yes, it's very early. So if you're watching this before 8 p.m. in the US of A, this is going to be spoilers. There's going to be lots of spoilers because I'm going to do the whole review. It came on at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time because they are in Australia right now, and I figured, you know what? Let's do it live. I watched it live because I'm in Australia, or I have a VPN, one of the two, and I watched it. I woke up early, got some coffee, got some Red Bull, and we enjoyed ourselves with an early morning WWE Smackdown, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's start positive. I'm going to try really hard to find positivity in each of these, in each of the segments tonight, because I don't know, I would say as a go-home show, it was not great, but as a SmackDown, maybe it was good. See, if this was just a random SmackDown, it would have been a good random SmackDown. But as a go-home show, it's not, because nothing happened in this episode to make me want to go and watch Crown Jewel Perth. Now, I do want to watch Crown Jewel Perth, but I'm saying nothing happened in this episode. If you're newer to wrestling, the term go home show means it is the episode right before the PLE, Crown Jewel in this case, and it's also the show in which they try to entice people to buy the PLE, to subscribe to ESPN. They're trying to give the best, most juicy story elements to get you right before the pay-per-view, PLE, in order to get last-minute buyers excited. Oh my God, I can't believe that happened. I must watch. I don't think that's a thing anymore, though. I don't think there are really go-home shows, because now it seems like the episode before the PLE, they stack it with a lot of matches that would be pay-per-view quality, PLE quality, but nothing that actually affects the PLE itself. Meaning they had Damian Priest versus Aleister Black. That was a decent matchup, right? But it had nothing to do with the PLE itself. Solo Sikoa really showed up today, but it has nothing to do with the PLE itself. The only two segments that really had anything to do with the PLE didn't really further any storyline. Cody Rhodes came out, and he literally says the same thing he's been saying every week. I am 3-0 against Seth Rollins. That was his entire thing. Now, it was kind of fun the way that he was interacting with the crowd. He did get Wade Barrett to repeat that the crowd was calling Seth Rollins a wanker. So, that was a fun moment. But for the most part, that did not get me interested in Crown Jewel. Now, I want to see the match. Don't mistake me and mishear me and say, oh, you're not interested in the Crown Jewel. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that this go-home show of SmackDown did nothing to interest me in Crown Jewel itself. It was a good, fine, standalone episode, but not a great showcase of the PLE. So maybe go home shows aren't a thing anymore, and I'm just an old man yelling at a cloud, remembering how the last episode of TV leading into a pay-per-view was supposed to be the greatest episode they had. So I don't know. Whatever the case may be, let's talk this program. So Cody Rhodes, he comes out, and like I said, I liked him getting Wade Barrett involved with the crowd, but what I didn't like was just a complete repeat. He had nothing to say. he did say, hey, I don't want a cheap pop, but then he proceeded to name the most popular wrestlers to get a cheap pop. And then he was like, I'm 3-0, Seth. I'm your Achilles heel. So that didn't really do nothing for me. Later, we had a recap of what happened on the press conference or the kickoff, which happened at like 5 in the morning or something. I guess Seth Rollins and the Vision came out to talk to the crowd, and when it was Seth's turn to talk, he just walked away. So that's just showing that Seth is like, it's all in his head. And I realized it's really weird that they're putting Seth Rollins kind of in the babyface position of he's doubting himself. He's the one that has to overcome this huge hurdle in his career, kind of like, that Cody Rhodes is this monster that he cannot ever defeat. So Seth Rollins is actually playing, like, when it comes to, wrestling 101 tropes, Seth Rollins is actually in the babyface position of the storyline, even though clearly he's still the one that's the villain, and Seth and Cody is the face here. But I did think it was interesting that it's Seth Rollins who has to overcome things. Seth Rollins is walking in as the clear underdog, and Cody literally has just been saying this whole time, I'm better than you, I can beat you, I have beat you, you've never beat me. And even on Raw, he got the one up on Seth, or no, on last week's SmackDown, he got the one up on Seth. So I'm not saying that as a good thing, I'm not saying that as a bad thing, I'm just saying that as a thing. So that's interesting. Now, the other thing that it had to pertain to Crown Jewel was Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Vakir. They continue their storyline completely based on respect. I hope you have my back out there. Yeah, I will. Okay, see you out there. Then they go out there and they proceed to have each other's back. There's just no heat whatsoever. I wish that at one point Stephanie should have just left. Like they did it on NXT this week, where Trick Williams was part of the team NXT versus TNA, and Trick just left. He was like, screw it, I don't need this, and he walked away. Honestly, Tiffany should have done the same thing. She should have just walked away on Stephanie. That would have been really cool and interesting, but it didn't happen. So Tiffany and Stephanie Vakir versus Julia and Kiana James, and they win. The best part of this match was there was a moment towards the beginning where Julia and Stephanie, they go face to face, and they have a really good, like, 1 or 2 minutes of back and forth. That was my favorite part of this match. Unfortunately, it does highlight the fact that they have really dropped the ball thus far on Julia. She is definitely far from, like, oh my God, she's buried. But at the same point, it's like they could have done so much more with Julia. Like, just way, way much more. But yeah, it was cool to see them kind of go at it. Eventually, Tiffany Stratton will pin Kiana James. That's fine. Whether it was Stephanie or Tiffany to get the pin didn't really matter, but Kiana James was the right one to take the pin. And then they do that thing where remember last week, I think I said, I'm just so tired of champions just looking at each other, holding the belt up above their head, and that's supposed to be a storyline. Well, that's what they did. They got in front of the Crown Jewel Perth belts, and they did that. Oh, by the way, they did do this. I did think this was cool. Even though I think the belts are gaudy and horrible and freaking huge, I did like that in the beginning of today's episode, they made it was like a 2-minute video of just the transportation of the titles. I hate the concept of these titles, but if they are trying to make it feel important, they are doing a good job in that aspect on how they escorted it here and stuff. Not for me, but I can see value in it, in what they were trying to do, if that makes sense. But yeah, so Tiffany and Stephanie, just so much respect. Ooh, can't wait for that. And another respect, literally they're just saying the word respect. We had Zolruka and Zarya, they had a backstage segment, and they're talking about how, they're going to go for the championships because, Alexa and Charlotte walk into frame, and they're like, we're not going to wait for our turn, but we do respect you, but we're not going to wait for our turn. So the R word, respect, and Charlotte's like, borderline rude, but I can get on board with that. I like the gumption, and so now we have ourselves a match here. And Bishop Marley stated in the hot takes that because then Alexa goes this way, Charlotte goes this way, and it seems like Charlotte is kind of playing the ditzy blonde, which is an interesting development for Charlotte Flair. I get it. I get they're trying to make her like, I don't know, they're trying to humanize her, but I think they have done that, and they risk making her stupid. So we gotta like just keep an eye on that. But hey, who knows? Maybe Sol Ruca becomes a 3-time champion. What's the positive here? The positive here is that that the women's tag team division got spotlight. There you go. There's the positive. The second match of the night was a good match. It was Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, who I think I'm going to do a Sami Zayn solution video, because a couple weeks back I did a Sami Zayn problem video, and Sami Zayn has continuously been the highlight of SmackDown, his matches, or they lead to something bigger and grander. So Sami Zayn comes out, and we get Shinsuke Nakamura. This is face Shinsuke, because it was the music without the lyrics, so that means the crowd can sing along, and they love singing along nowadays. And it was such a joy when only the Europeans sung along, I guess, because it became too much for me, I guess. But you know what? The positive, let's stay positive. The positive that is the fans are cheering and having fun. So there you go. There's some positive right there. So Shinsuke comes out he's a face, he's a good guy again. And then he even does all the things, mannerisms of being a good guy, and his outfit has changed, and Wade Barrett said something about it too. So then we go into a matchup. It's a decent matchup. The Sami Zayn matches are always going to go about 20 to 25 minutes, and no different. But then a hooded figure with face paint attacks Shinsuke, and it's Tama Tonga. He is the missing element of the MFTs that Solo was talking about. Suddenly, the ring is surrounded by Tama Tonga, who are wearing the face paint of they were a tag team in New Japan, the Gorillas of Destiny, GOD, and they had that face paint on. And then also Tama Tonga with the face paint. JC Mateo, hate that name, with the face paint. They surround Sammy, and they beat the crap out of him. Shinsuke goes in to help him, further solidifying that he's now a face. They beat the crap out of him. And then Solo just walks in nonchalantly. He's not going crazy. He's not doing nothing. He's just nonchalantly just demonstrating that he has power over everyone. And that was cool. That was a good reintroduction of the MFTs. Loved it. And the best part is they weren't done. The Street Profits had a match with the Wyatts, and I loved that the Street Profits, they got their old music, bump, bump, bump. I don't know how to exactly do it, but it was their old music. I love that music and the energy that the Street Profits bring all together. And we will, unfortunately, though, they will lose. And they lost kind of just like out of nowhere. I feel like it should have been, they probably should have cut Sammy's match 5 minutes and added more to this, because it just seemed like suddenly they were losing. And I was like, oh, okay. Hopefully this, like, I have not been the biggest supporter of the Profit breakup until recently, but at this point, they just break them up. Let's trade Montez Ford or Dawkins to the other brand and see what they can do. I know Montez Ford is a superstar just waiting to happen. I just hope they don't neglect Dawkins. I think he's really talented for a guy his size. He can do a lot of things, beat for beat, what Montez could do. Yeah, maybe he can't get as high up as a Frog Splash, but he did have like both Wyatts on his shoulder for a double super blockbuster, doomsday blockbuster. It was really good stuff. But they do lose. But the cool thing here was, And we'll put the Profits on the back burner right now. Hopefully next week they explore that breakup, because what else can they do? But the coolest part to me of SmackDown was, so the Wyatts win and they got the creepy music. Bo Dallas wasn't here, though, by the way. Uncle Howdy, for some reason, wasn't here, and they never really fully mentioned it unless I was talking over it, so I wish they would have done that, and Nikki Cross kind of played the leader here. But so the lights are flashing, and then suddenly the MFTs in their white face paint popped up. It was a very cool visual. And then they got in the ring, and then the Wyatts turned around. Now the Wyatts are outnumbered 3 men and 1 woman to the 5 MFTs, because you have the 4. It was 4 and 4, and then Solo got in the ring, and he was again nonchalant, and he kind of said, we're coming for you, because they got the tag belts. And then Nikki Cross, she steps out of formation and gets in Solo's face. Now it didn't make Solo look weak, because it just probably made Solo look like he didn't want to hit a woman, but I don't know, it wasn't, I don't think it really landed as well. But like the whole, just the visual, the lights kept flickering the whole time, the MFTs not being scared at all, Solo just very confident, the Wyatts not backing down. Like, the only thing that would have made it better if Uncle Howdy had actually been here. But this was a really good start. I could have seen if they would have done a beatdown angle also, that could have probably worked better, since Uncle Howdy wasn't here and they were outnumbered. But I still like the way they went with it. I do like the way they went with it still. So hopefully the Street Profits will break up finally, but I hope there's no Marty Jannetty's and there's just 2 Shawn Michaels. Let's see what else. Am I forgetting anything? Oh, Jacob Fatu. There was a thing where Cody went to the back. He's holding his belt, and Jacob Fatu just looks at it. He looks at it like Randy Orton looks at it, but then he says, "After Crown Jewel, me and you." And Cody's like, "Yeah, okay. Let's go." And I like that. I like Jacob just saying, "Yeah, I want this." So it does look like Jacob is completely out of the mid-card now, and he has entered into the main event scene while Solo is staying mid-card. Now, here's the deal. So Jacob Fatu, he says that, right? But then Drew attacks him, and they fight. Later, Nick Aldis will come up to Drew, and then Jacob will attack him again. I guess we're getting Drew versus Jacob next SmackDown. Again, showcasing that this is not a go-home show. Like, things are happening that are just like Crown Jewel just happens to be in the way of SmackDown, and they're not doing anything to go home, because why wasn't Drew and Jacob even on the card? Whatever, it's for next week. So we have that going on. Jacob wanting the title, Drew wanting Jacob, saying, "You disrespected me last week. You think I'm just going to stay put?" Let's see, what else? We got, they hold up the belts. That's Tiffany and The Miz does an interview. Okay, so The Miz does an interview, and he basically says, "Mello, you disrespected me. I'm a 2-time Grand Slam champion, main eventer, Hall of Famer, all these things. Mello, you disrespected me." So obviously that is going to be a feud. Hopefully they actually run with it and they don't just let it trail off after like 1 count-out victory or something like that. So we'll see. Their judgment's still out. And then we have our final match of the night, which is going to be Aleister Black versus Damian Priest in a no-holds street fight. No, last man standing. I think it's a last man standing match. It was an all right match. Damian Priest got a lot of offense. Damian Priest looked very, very strong here. But when it was all said and done, they're out in the arena. They're out in the arena, and Damian Priest is beating him up, and then Zelina Vega out of the crowd comes out and just said, "Please stop, please stop." Now, I don't think they've ever fully said that Zelina is Aleister Black's real life wife. So I try to put myself in the perspective of a fan. I don't try to be like Like, oh, I know all this stuff. Like, I try not to know that. If there's an injury in real life, I try not to let it affect the story. So it was weird to me that Zelina came out and helped, and the announcers didn't even say that. The announcers should have played a part here and said, oh my God, that's his real life wife. Now, I'm sure they'll do it next week, but it was just weird that, because to the average viewer, it's like, why is she coming out to help him? That makes no sense. Because last we saw Zelina, she was waving the Puerto Rican flag, just super proud to be the U.S. champion and all these things. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying here? I'm not opposed, though, to this matchup. I think it might add a lot to it. Zelina Vega was a great heel manager, and honestly, I wish she would have been paired up with Andrade. Given that an opportunity, maybe Andrade could have been a success again on the main roster this time around, but fine. We're putting her with Aleister Black. She wasn't doing anything anyways, so this could be a good pairing. Who knows? It seems like all the married couples are getting together right now. We got Seth and Becky Lynch, the best in the world, and that's not just me saying it. That's Sports Illustrated. But then you got AJ and Punk. Who knows? What else can happen? Bring back Buddy Murphy for Rhea Ripley. Is that who she's married to? Buddy Murphy on AEW TV. Anyways, we then so the matchup, Damian Priest is about to do, I don't know, the kill blow or something to Aleister Black. Zelina gets involved, and that's the distraction enough for, we go super old school. Aleister Black throws a fireball in Damian Priest's face. Yes, a fireball. It was a good looking fireball. Unfortunately, the Black Mass kick, it did not land at his head, almost to his shoulder, but when they showed it at a different angle, it looked really good. But the angle that we originally saw did not. So they'll probably when it airs on USA Tonight, I bet they show a better version of that move. Kind of like last time they had a match, they filmed something. Logan Paul had punched John Cena and it wasn't a good punch, so they refilmed it. This was in front of the live audience, so I doubt they can refilm it, but they can do a different camera angle. Regardless, let's just pretend it hit, and Damian Priest with a fireball to the face. He is Black Mass to the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Countdown, last man standing. And we have Aleister Black, Zelina Vega, now looking to be paired up. It did not look like Zelina Vega was trying to help as a heel. It looked like she was just trying to protect her husband. So we will see how that plays out next week if she fully embraces her heel side. I wish Aleister Black would have sat down and just started talking trash to Damian Priest as we closed out, but they just did medics and a towel over Damian Priest's face. So somebody, I think it was Come At Meow, said Damian Priest went from Undertaker to Kane. Thought that was funny because, you know, the burn marks and everything. And that's your SmackDown. That's your go-home show to Crown Jewel. You got to be more interested in Crown Jewel now because Cody said the same thing he said 2 weeks ago, and then last week also how he's 3-0. And boy howdy, when Tiffany and Stephanie held those belts up in the air, man, was it those belts were held up in the air. So anyways, boys, girls, the positive of the last match, I will say, is the fact that Zelina and Aleister Black are together. That's something new. I do think that's a positive, and it was a decent match. That was a decent match, to be honest with you. So there you go. That's my SmackDown one take, one shot review. How many? As a go home show, I'd give it a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As just a random episode of SmackDown, I'd give it a 7. Solo Sikoa, really like great stuff with Solo and the MFTs tonight. Really great stuff. And that last man standing match, while I've seen a lot better, it wasn't bad by no means. So yeah, I'll do 7. I'll do 7 for a SmackDown episode. For a go home show, 6. There you go. And yawns. Because I woke up so early, I think I only had like 3 from the morning, but Come At Meow, who actually lives in Australia, he said he had 9. So if you're actually in the right time zone, the proper time zone, we'll go off of a 9 yawn count today. Boys, girls, thank you very much. Hot takes, I'm going to do them today. I think I got someone to cover my shift tonight, so I'll just do hot takes tonight. That way we can have a good couple hours before Crown Jewel, 8 a.m. tomorrow, Saturday morning. See ya. Bye.